Good evening, Ms. Gilbert. I'm Officer Flank, Palm Beach Gardens Police Department. How you doing tonight?
There you go.
There I go? Okay, not doing too well? Ms. Gilbert, have you had anything to drink tonight?
I answered this.
Last chance.
No, what?
Alright, come on out. Come on out. Keep your head still. What's going on?
Welcome back to our channel. Today, we delve into a rather unusual DUI stop that took place in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Officers pulled over 27-year-old Anna Gilbert after she was observed speeding and failing to properly stop at a stop sign, suspecting she may have been driving under the influence. What began as a routine traffic stop quickly escalated into a deeper examination of human behavior, legal boundaries, and the complex relationship between authority and individual rights. This early morning incident, occurring just after 1 a.m., was far more than a standard DUI investigation. It became a reflection of broader societal tensions, legal intricacies, and psychological dynamics at play. In this analysis, we will thoroughly unpack the various aspects of this event, from the initial stop to its legal consequences, exploring the psychological motivations, legal implications, and the wider impact on both law enforcement and the public. The initial encounter, a prelude to unconventional behavior. The moment Officer Flank approached Anna Gilbert's vehicle marked the beginning of an increasingly intricate and multifaceted situation. The observed traffic violations, speeding, and an improper stop at a stop sign were more than simple infractions. They were indicators of potentially impaired judgment and a lack of adherence to traffic laws. However, what initially appeared to be a routine traffic stop quickly evolved into something far more complex. Upon requesting the necessary documents, Officer Flank was met with an additional layer of irregularity. Gilbert presented expired insurance and vehicle registration, a lapse that could be interpreted as more than just an administrative oversight.
Okay. This registration's expired.
Such neglect often suggests disorganization, or, in some cases, an altered state of awareness, reinforcing the need for further investigation. The situation took an even more peculiar turn when Officer Flank posed the routine question, "Miss Gilbert, have you had anything to drink tonight?" Her response, "I'm not allowed to at this point. My dad's a lawyer," was an unusual and perplexing statement. It was not a straightforward denial, nor an admission of guilt. Instead, it reflected a combination of defiance, misplaced confidence, and a misguided belief in familial legal protection. Rather than reassuring the officer of her compliance, this remark raised immediate red flags, signaling potential resistance and an unwillingness to cooperate. From this moment forward, the encounter was destined to be anything but straightforward. The "I'm not allowed to" claim, a psychological exploration. Gilbert's statement, "I'm not allowed to," presents a fascinating psychological case study. This assertion hints at cognitive dissonance, a psychological conflict between her perception of personal rights and the stark reality of legal responsibility. Prompts several questions. Did she truly believe that her father's legal profession granted her special privileges? Or was this statement an impulsive defense mechanism, a desperate attempt to distance herself from the growing suspicion of intoxication? The invocation of her father's legal background was likely a strategic move, albeit an ill-conceived one. It appeared to be an attempt to either intimidate the officer or deter further questioning. However, the impact was quite the opposite. Rather than dissuading Officer Flank, her statement only heightened scrutiny, prompting a more thorough examination of her behavior and potential impairment. The officer's response was a testament to professional restraint and de-escalation techniques. By calmly reinforcing the universal application of the law, he made it clear that no amount of familial legal affiliation could exempt an individual from compliance. This moment underscores the delicate equilibrium between an individual's perceived rights and the legal obligations that govern interactions with law enforcement, an equilibrium that Gilbert fundamentally misunderstood. Escalation and resistance. The legal ramifications of non-compliance. The situation took a decisive turn when Gilbert refused to exit her vehicle upon request.
All right, come on back over here for him, please.
I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed to? What do you mean? Why aren't you allowed to?
I'm not allowed to at this point.
Why?
My dad's a lawyer,
Your dad's a lawyer?
and I'm not allowed to.
Okay, well, even as a lawyer, he would tell you if you're ordered out of a vehicle that you have to comply. Okay?
This act of defiance was not merely an emotional reaction. It was a direct challenge to lawful authority. In legal terms, an officer's directive to step out of a vehicle is not optional. It is a lawful order backed by Supreme Court precedent. Gilbert's insistence on citing her father's legal advice in defiance of this directive only served to compound the severity of the situation. The refusal to comply transformed the encounter from a standard DUI investigation into an act of obstruction. Officer Flank, recognizing the increasing resistance, issued a clear and direct warning about the legal consequences of non-compliance. Obstruction charges were no longer a theoretical possibility. They were an imminent reality should Gilbert continue to resist. This moment underscored an essential legal principle. The enforcement of traffic laws and investigative procedures is not contingent on an individual's personal beliefs about their rights. It is an established, structured process that must be followed by all. Throughout this exchange, Officer Flank exhibited remarkable patience and professionalism. He meticulously navigated Gilbert's emotional defenses, balancing firm legal authority with measured attempts at de-escalation. The situation ultimately reached a critical juncture where a choice had to be made: cooperate with law enforcement or face the physical and legal consequences of non-compliance.
I'll be charged with that.
Come on up.
I'm not allowed to.
Come on out of the vehicle.
car, you will not be charged with
I'm not allowed to.
Last chance.
I'm not allowed to.
All right, come on out. Come on out. Come on over here, okay?
The ultimatum was not a show of force, but rather a necessary assertion of legal order, one that ensured the investigation proceeded in accordance with the law while maintaining officer and public safety. Field sobriety tests, a comprehensive assessment of impairment. Field sobriety tests serve as more than just a physical evaluation. They provide critical insight into an individual's cognitive function, decision-making abilities, and potential level of impairment. In Gilbert's case, her claim of experiencing seizures added an additional layer of complexity, compelling the responding officer to balance investigative rigor with necessary accommodations. Despite her assertions, the horizontal gaze nystagmus (HGN) test revealed clear indicators of impairment, suggesting a disconnect between her perception and reality.
Hands at your sides. Do you see this red light here? You're going to follow the red light with your eyes only, and you're going to keep your head still. Do you understand?
Yes.
Don't move your head. Keep your head still. What's going on? Do we have to call fire and rescue?
Anna, do you need paramedics?
I passed all of them together.
You passed what?
I tried my best all of them together.
For what?
Gilbert's assertion that she suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, introduced a nuanced and sensitive component to the encounter, raising critical considerations regarding the intersection of mental health and legal responsibility. While mental health conditions can profoundly impact behavior and perception, they do not serve as a blanket exemption from legal accountability. The officer's response, advising her to seek professional counseling, reflected an attempt to balance empathy with his duty to conduct a thorough investigation. Acknowledging the potential legitimacy of her claim, he remained firm in his stance that a DUI stop was not the appropriate setting to address such concerns. This scenario underscores the ongoing challenge law enforcement officers face when dealing with individuals exhibiting signs of mental distress, requiring them to carefully navigate the balance between fulfilling legal obligations and ensuring that individuals in crisis receive appropriate support. The one-leg stand test and escalating resistance, a defiant standoff. The administration of the one-leg stand test marked a pivotal moment in both the assessment of Gilbert's sobriety and her overall willingness to comply with lawful directives. Her persistent resistance and repeated interruptions signaled a deliberate lack of cooperation and a possible detachment from reality. Moreover, her insistence on receiving tips for managing PTSD during the test appeared to be a strategic attempt to divert the investigation and deflect responsibility. Despite the officer's repeated efforts to guide her through the test with professionalism and patience, Gilbert's continued defiance left him with no choice but to escalate the situation accordingly.
Don't stop. You keep your arms at your sides and you count your steps out loud. Do you have any questions? Do you know what you got to do? All right, go ahead and begin. Do you remember what you were instructed to do?
9 steps.
9 heel-to-toe steps, and then what? Then the turnaround that I showed you, and 9 heel-to-toe steps back. All right, for this next exercise, it's going to be the one-leg stand, all right? You can go ahead and step off the line. You don't have to worry about the yellow line no more. All right, so go ahead and just stand right in front of me right there. Where the flashlight's at.
When she ultimately refused to participate in the test, the officer determined that an arrest was warranted. However, the charges against her were not solely related to DUI. They also included obstruction, reflecting the cumulative impact of her refusal to comply with lawful orders and her escalating resistance during the investigation. Arrest and aftermath, legal consequences and broader implications. Gilbert's arrest and the subsequent legal proceedings underscored the tangible consequences of her actions. Her refusal to submit to a breathalyzer test, a routine procedure in DUI cases, further compounded her legal troubles. Ultimately, her decision to plead guilty resulted in sentencing that included probation and the mandatory installation of an ignition interlock device, reinforcing the gravity of her offense. This case serves as a stark reminder of the potential repercussions associated with driving under the influence and resisting lawful authority. Beyond the individual consequences, it raises broader discussions regarding public attitudes toward law enforcement, the importance of compliance with legal directives, and the critical need for improved mental health resources within the criminal justice system. By examining cases such as Gilbert's, society can better understand the delicate balance between enforcing the law and addressing the mental health needs of individuals in crisis. Thank you for joining us as we delved deeper into this complex case. Remember, responsible decision-making is crucial, particularly when it comes to driving. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse or mental health issues, please seek help. Stay informed, stay safe, and make responsible choices.